What's up everyone, David here. Welcome back to MixSpace TV. Hope you guys are having a great day. Very excited about this. Check this out. IK Multimedia on-ear portable headphone calibration system with room and speaker emulations with a ton of features, dedicated software to customize your calibration, lots of different studio and speakers emulation, and of course a ton of different headphones profiles to have your calibrated monitoring system anywhere you go. You can hook this up to the computer, your headphones, a mixer. Let's get into it. Before we start, as usual, check the info box down below for free plugins, special discounts, offers, and of course, a link to IK Multimedia ARC on ear. If you want to book mix and mastering with me, go to the website mixspacetv.com. In there, you can also find all the mix and mastering courses. And if you want to access the exclusive library of in-depth mixing and mastering videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixSpace TV member. And if you want to support the channel, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Let's get to the video because this thing is really, really impressive. It actually might be the first time that I like my trusty Sennheiser HD600 better with this than they are by themselves. Let me show you this thing up close. We'll talk about the software, we'll talk about everything. All right, the IK Multimedia ARC on-ear comes with this little leather pouch that contains the cables and contains the main unit, which is right here. This is first of all very, very well built. The case is metal, really sturdy. The knob has some resistance. The buttons are really high quality, and you can see it has rubber at the bottom so it doesn't slide when you have it on your desk. It comes with two cables. One is a USB cable and one is an analog cable. This is because you can connect this two ways. You can either connect it right here with a USB-C cable to your computer, and this will be seen as an audio interface. We're gonna see that later with the software that right now is on my laptop. This is not connected, so it doesn't detect any device. Or you can connect it analog, so the mini jack is gonna go here, and the other end will go, for example, to a mixer. Anything that outputs audio and you need to monitor, it can be your phone, it can be a tablet, anything. And when it's not connected via USB, this thing is battery powered. Check this out. This is very, very cool. So when I say portable, I mean portable. It doesn't even need to be connected to the computer because all the settings and all the presets that we're gonna see in a second are stored in the unit itself. So you don't need the software to run to use this thing. That's the first very, very cool thing about this unit. It has one headphone output here. This is your volume control. We have three buttons: calibration, studio, and function. This button is assignable. You can assign different functions to it. We're gonna see that later. And you can also store 5 presets, fully customizable. Recall them directly from the unit. Again, I'm going battery powered right now. And of course it charges via USB. When you have plug-in USB automatically, you don't have to do anything. You press function and calibration, and you can see, you can scroll through presets right there. Presets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you are in the one that you want, you just let it go and it loads the preset. This is so very cool. Let me show you, let me connect it to the computer now and show you the software and all the functions that you have on the new IK Multimedia ARC on-ear. All right, because I'm connecting it to the computer, I don't need the analog cable. This is as simple as connecting the USB-C to the unit itself and the other end to the computer. And as soon as I do this, you can see that the software immediately and automatically recognizes that the hardware is connected and is also charging the battery automatically. We can connect my headphones to it, so you would connect your headphones right here. And as I said earlier, I have my Sennheiser HD600 right here. This is important because the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to select the profile for the calibration. So ARC on ear has several functions. The first one is the calibration function, meaning it calibrates your headphones to have a more linear response. I'm gonna show you right here. I'm gonna go to preset 1, and I'm gonna select my headphones, and you can see we have all the popular brands already: Adema, GNOZZI'S, Neumann, Sennheiser, Shure, and so on. So you can either go to your brand, like in this case, I'm gonna go to my Sennheiser and search for your model, or simply you can type it here in the search bar and your model will pop up. You can also select this as favorite, so it will pop up. For example, if you go back to show all and I go to favorite, now my model is there. So if you have 2, 3 models, you can put them in favorite so you don't have to search them. So this is my model. I'm gonna select this and close this page, and now you can see here the Sennheiser HD600 are selected and the calibration is on. Actually, everything came up. The calibration here, studio simulation, and virtual speaker. So first of all, you can see here, my buttons are light up. You can see that directly from the unit, I can turn on and off the calibration and also the studio. The function button by default mutes and unmutes the audio. So when I press this, it's gonna be mute and unmute. But as you can see here on the software, FN button assignment for each preset. So you can customize a different function for each preset. You can assign whatever you want. If instead the mute, for example, you want the phase align on and off, the virtual speakers on and off, you want a mono, you want a dim, you want the let off, you want to play pause. I actually use that a lot. Instead of mute, I just press this and play pause whatever playback I have. So let's go back to the calibration. If I turn on the calibration here, you can see in the software, it turns on the calibration. This is the calibration for my headphones, which by the way is fully customizable. So you can go in and you can see when I touch something, you have band number 3, you can change frequency gain, Q, and you can change it from, this is a shelf, you want to change it to bell. So this is fully customizable, the calibration itself. You also have a tone wheel. For example, I'll show you something later. One of my presets, when I select a specific speaker, which is actually my Genelec 1031, so you can see there, that's one of the presets that I use. I like to make my tone warm because those speakers, and actually it's pretty accurate, tend to be kind of heavy on the top end. That's also why they are revealing, but with headphones, because the driver is so close to your ear, they can be fatiguing. That preset with that virtual speakers can be a little bit fatiguing, so I like to make the tone warm when I have those speakers. Again, the presets are all fully customizable, so anything can be saved in a preset, and we are going to do a couple of examples. And you can also see that the calibration shows you several things. The blue line is the pre, so your headphones without any calibration. Then the orange line is post, so with the added calibration and EQ. The white line is the user trim. So you can see when I turn something, when I touch my EQ, it shows you what I changed in case I want to go back to normal, okay? And then the dotted line is the speaker, is the virtual speaker. So if I change speaker and I go, for example, to the white 80s, you can see that the virtual speaker changed completely the post calibration, all right? And if I turn the virtual speakers off, you can see that now my calibration is perfectly straight. So this is my headphones, the blue line, without any calibration. If I turn on the calibration, my response is pretty much straight up flat. And I gotta say, like I said in the intro, this is the first time that I actually feel an improvement with my Sennheiser HD600 to the point that I could feel comfortable mixing outside my studio. And you can see now the virtual speakers are off, and I can actually show you this. If I put the virtual speakers in the FN button and I click this on the unit, now you can see that my post line matches what? Matches the speakers, right? So this is the response with that specific pair of speakers. This is very, very cool because again, you can change this for each presets. You can also see that in the studio simulation tab, you have the width, so you can change how wide and the position basically of, and the angle of the virtual speakers. You can decide to turn on and off the ambience. And also here you have this button phase align, and you can have the phase align in the function button again. Sometimes helps and improves the response, sometimes it doesn't, depends on the model. That's my personal preference. That's why you have that button available on the function. It's very cool to have. You can also run the studio simulation without the speakers. And again, this is very useful because maybe you want the response of your headphones just calibrated and you want to simulate hearing that in a studio environment with speakers as opposed to headphones, especially if you have closed headphones. That is very, very useful. But you don't want the curve or of a specific speaker. So for example, I'm gonna do my first preset. So I want my function button to be play pause, and I want to select the virtual speakers as my Genelecs 1031s. The model is already picked, my Sennheiser HD 600, and you can name your preset. So I'm going to call it 1031 and save it. And of course you can import and export configuration, import configuration. You have all the global settings right here. And then we're gonna do another preset and then I'll show you how you can change it. But you can see up here next to the IK logo, there is a switch that says frequency response or space. If I change this to space, now I get to see the studio with my speakers. That's very cool. And let's take a look at all the different speaker models that we have. So for example, we have black entry level, those would be JBL, Adem, two different kind of Genelecs. We have the 1031, the classics, the new coaxial, we have Dynaudio, just judging from the look, we have ATCs, we have the iLoud from IK Multimedia, we have Barefoot mains, we have the modern Yamaha, we have the PMCs, Pro Axe, we have Quest, we have Tannoy Gold, we have two different NS10s, the 80s and the 90s, we have KRK, and also we have consumer reference like the 49-inch TV, Bluetooth speakers, and phone. And I'm gonna go for preset number 2. And here, again, I'm gonna select my headphones. Now I have it in the favorites, so I just click on it. And the second pair of speakers that I'm gonna put here are the ATC. I really like this model here. And I'm gonna keep the calibration flat and the speakers and room on. And I'm gonna save these presets as ATC. I'm gonna do the same for the third one. I'm just gonna keep changing the speaker models, the Barefoot right here. I'm gonna close. And for this one, like for example, on the ATC, I left it on mute by accident. I'm gonna change it and put it in play. But here on preset number 3, I'm gonna instead put the virtual speakers as a function. So this way I can turn the virtual speakers off directly from the unit, and then I can turn the studio simulation and the calibration. So I can have 3 levels of adjustment and correction for my speakers. I just want the calibration. So I press calibration. If we go back on frequency response, now it's completely flat, right? Or I want the studio as well, and the studio simulation turns on. And then the speaker, the virtual speaker. And now my post line changes to match the speakers. That is pretty cool. I'm gonna call this Barefoot. And now I can show you directly from the unit itself. If we press and hold the function button and the calibration button, you can see I can cycle through presets. And you can see the software is following. Now it's on preset 3. So preset 4, and it changes to the PMCs. I'm gonna go back to the space so we can see the change. And function number 5, and there's the phone there. You can see number 1, my 1031s, and then again, ATC. That is pretty cool. You can change this directly from the unit. You don't need the software to run, so I can once again unplug this, and it's still working on battery. You would need to connect the audio via analog to feed the audio to it. Headphones are connected, and from here you can change function button, studio again, calibration, this is your volume, and you want to change presets. There you go. You press function and cal, and it scrolls through presets. This is very cool. I think this thing is pretty cool. It's built really well. It delivers what promises. I really like the way my Sennheisers and my other headphones sound through this, even just with the calibration is quite accurate. I love, like for example, the HD 600, they kind of like a little bit on the low end, and I gotta admit, this just the calibration alone makes it better. I can trust the low end more if I work on them. If I put my Gens emulation, that's pretty accurate. You can see like I'm smiling because the first time I was pretty impressed. I think this is another cool product in the ARC family that IK Multimedia did, and arguably it's probably my favorite. So I just wanted to show it to you guys. ARC on ear. The link is going to be in the info box down below. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to respond. Leave them in the comment down below. Go to the website if you want to book mix and mastering with me. Become a MixBus TV member if you want to access the exclusive library of in-depth mix and mastering videos here on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel, use the super thanks or grab some merch. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.